Yeah,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I wanted to touch on a couple of things, actually. Some of the things that Senator Sanford said, as well as the address, as well as my other colleagues, in addition to climate change in particular, and its effects on Indigenous communities throughout the region. One of the things I really wanted to highlight was, as you guys know, there was a recent volcanic eruption in St. Vincent, and this has affected most, like the Garifuna communities in particular, because they were closest to what we call the red zone, which is the closest to the volcano. So in highlighting those aspects, climate change has had adverse effects on Indigenous communities throughout the globe. It's not just Garifuna communities. There are instances where Indigenous communities have faced encroachment on cultural lands or Indigenous lands, which most of the times just so happen to be the coastline. So a lot of governments want to use them for tourism and development to attract more individuals to come to their countries. In addition to what I wanted to address was the presence of women in Indigenous communities. I was really pleased about that aspect, especially having been an avid fan of Mrs. Robinson, who addressed us earlier, with her activism at conferences as well, because Indigenous communities are usually matrifocal. The women play a very pivotal role and important role in our communities. They're not just caregivers or life givers. They're the women that we go to hear folklore and stories and regard us about our histories. They're the women that we go to for strength. They're the women that head most of our spiritual activities. And as Ms. Robinson and Mr. Egbert rightly pointed out, this this panel has come around at the very such an important time, bringing so many Indigenous peoples together, realizing that we face similar challenges, or we face similar records in history. And again, uncovering this history of anti-indigeneity is vitally important for Indigenous communities, because as Miss Tesfa, I hope I'm pronouncing it properly, Miss Patterson regarded earlier, we have this trope of anti-indigeneity in the Caribbean. And I recently presented a paper on this. And I find that it's so interesting that these communities, that many people in the European or Western metaculture said that, oh, they were extinct, they were removed, they were exiled. Yet here we are today using technology to come together, all of those communities that were regarded as no more. And it's just so important and so exhilarating to see that happening. So those are some instances that I wanted to cover in the previous discussions.